Ladies and gentlemen, Malifaux, welcome to it. And I'm doing this video on the 24th of June 2016, significant for the fact that, as well as my nose getting a little bit prettier, which does tend to happen each new day, the United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union by referendum. Now I try to use this channel as a kind of David Attenborough-esque documentary of the activities of my little painted lumps of plastic in the magical worlds of Malifaux and Warhammer, and do try to restrain myself from using it as a political platform, but as this is a somewhat unusual case, I will treat you to my opinion. Drat. To our brothers and sisters on the mainland, all I can say is I'm so sorry. 48% of us don't go willingly, but at the end of the day, what's done is done, and we've just got to make the best of it. It's a painful setback, but what can you do but move forward? You and our cousins from the rest of the world will always be welcome on Mollusk Channel. Come over and play Malifaux sometime. And speaking of which, we have my first mirror match, Collodiest versus Collodiest. I'll go through terrain first. So these are forests, these are impassable blocking, height 2 I think, height 1, building impassable, another building, severe height 1 wall, or obstacle or whatever it is. I wanted the deployment flip and chose this corner here because I didn't want to go all the way around to the other side of the table, and that corner looked shit. A bit like how leaving the EU seems. So for my crew, I've got a marionette, Collodiest, with Wings of Darkness, Bag of Props and Strum the Threads. Lazarus, with Retribution's Eye. Performer, Widow Weaver, with Handbag. And finally the Brutal Effigy. On the other side, Collodiest the Pretender has brought McTavish, and I don't think he's got any upgrades. A Woldgeist, Doppelganger with Rhett's Eye, and that's going to be a nasty combo. The Brutal Effigy, that looks like a marionette, a Silurid, the Shadow Effigy, Collodiest with Bag of Props, Breathe Life and Strum the Threads, and a final marionette. So my plan, I'm going to admit, wasn't strong because looking at the schemes, I found it really hard to get my head around them. I reckon the Performer is going to be particularly important because she can blow up scheme markers, which will just so happen to synergize very nicely with Widow Weaver and Lazarus' shooting. So that'll make her pretty important for if he's taken set up or any of the other marker dropping schemes. And she can also lure and pull things around, which is useful for claiming or denying table quarters. So I reckon she's going to be a pretty high priority target for my opponent, so she's my frame for murder thing. For my other scheme, I'm much less confident. I reckon Leave Your Mark is a pretty dreadful one for interference, but Marionette's pretty fast and tricky, and I reckon if I can win a flank or get slip behind his lines, I might be able to get lucky. My hope is I can kill enough with Lazarus and Collodiest, and use my summoning power to get some new recruits. And if I can start to get that number advantage, then the game should fall into place. Let's see how it went. First turn, a pretty decent hand, unlike the one we were dealt in the referendum this morning. We move out kind of cagily. I'm quite worried about McTavish and Doppelganger shooting, and not commit myself to a flank too soon. Insidiously Mad decides to start migrating over here like a wave of Eastern Europeans. He used the marionettes to drag along the Silurid, I believe, pulling it over as far as he could before it activated. So by the end of the turn, things look like that. I don't think anything's really happened. No one's been in range to take any shots. We've got the Woldgeist powering up into this forest, McTavish creating some more cover, and just dipping his toe in the forest so we can see through it. Doppelganger dropped a scheme marker here and went up into the building. Collodiest run around to here, and the Silurid has jumped its way over to here and placed a scheme marker right in that corner. Now with the placement of these markers, it's pretty clear there's only one scheme he's likely to be running. This one is a particular giveaway, but just like a Brexit vote, I didn't see it. Coming, that is. So what I've done is I split up my crew into two groups, and I've done it badly. A lot like a country divided along political lines. So I've seen Doppelganger with her armor ignoring shit up in this tower, and I've moved Lazarus over here. Collodiest does best when he's surrounded by puppets, and that doesn't favour taking lots of blasts to the face. So what I'd like to do is get into a position to shoot Collodiest, and then use the Widow Weaver to summon from the scrap that creates. from personal puppets dying and effigies getting blasted onto, etc. Also, because there's a rather nasty henchman and a bit of staunch resistance over here in general, I'm sending the performer over here to go and die. Trying to make it not look too obvious, that's what I'm doing. So she's hanging back a bit. And I'm sending Collodi over here too, because I'm hoping that I can slow up McTavish and this Waldgeist, but mostly transfer my AP to these marionettes to get scheme markers down. Something that I liked that I did was when I activated the Brutal Effigy and shot at Collodi twice, allowing him to run away home 6 inches forwards, which then meant that he could activate without going fast, move over behind this rock, and then pull the marionettes, I think maybe the performer, into better positions with my will. I did actually end up damaging him with the brutal second shot for 1 damage, but I did quite like that move, especially as I'm not concerned about the brutal getting left behind. Most of the time I end up just wasting his actions, and I think getting Collodi that extra distance is well worth it. We move into turn 2. Not much has changed in the hand. Unlike the political identity of Europe, there aren't really any important moves, which is kind of unusual actually for most of my games. So we both just fiddle around a bit. I put a marionette, which I think is my personal puppet, up into the forest to engage the Waldgeist and just keep it there. I think the performer's moved up a little bit, pulled the other marionette, which has then gone fast and got all the way over here, and I'm going to use Collodi to go up around and make it drop a scheme marker. Completely forgetting at this point McTavish's very nasty trick, which he can do with his gator. The effigy's just moved over here, put its zero action on Collodi, and I'm basically going to use it to try to hold the back line for the interference strategy. Looks like I've gone with this marionette, dinked Lazarus out so he's got a firing lane. Collodi's gone. I've gone fast, pushed, moved, tweaked the marionette to drop a scheme marker, and then taken a pot shot at McTavish to try to get some health back. And it's at this point I find out that he gets cover from casting attacks when he's in cover, which is a major bummer. I think I hit him anyway, but I can't remember a trigger going off, so I don't know if my opponent had to cheat a high card. Looks like it's a pretty high card there. Yeah, I don't think it did anything substantial. Don't ask me why I've moved a marionette out round here. I think I had to move something, and I think maybe I just wanted to distract Collodi or something, I don't know. Stupid move. So McTavish went, he gobbled up my scheme marker, killed my marionette, and then pushed himself back over here, I think. And the Waldgeist just wandered over here and engaged all 3 of my models. So now he controls this quarter. I am such a fucking idiot. In retribution, I get the marionette up around here and then use Lazarus to double blast on shooting the marionette and hit Collodi, doing 3 damage, and I think he soulstones to reduce it by 2. Collodi goes, he kills my marionette, he hits Lazarus and just walks him back around the building. Various marionettes and effigies and shit drop scheme markers, as does the Silurid, who ends up around here. And I think Collodi also hit my marionette that was here. Sorry, he killed this marionette and hit the marionette that was over here and walked it back over here to a no-scoring position. In a desperate attempt to get a point, I used the Widow Weaver to double walk into this table quarter, not realising that I don't score if I draw. So now I am royally fucked. I'm completely out of position, which is doom when you're playing against someone as good as Insidiously Mad. There's no way I'm going to have enough time to reposition. I'm not going to be able to get into his scheme-dropping fortress, even though, all it would take would just be 1 model to get in there and start denying those markers. Collodi is just going to keep walking it away. And I've got no damage output over here to deal with the tough things like the Tavish and the Waldgeist, whose engagement ranges and other abilities are just going to stop me from dropping markers. And to top it all off, my performer is, she's nowhere near, attempting enough a target with Collodi and the Widow Weaver there for McTavish to be wasting his AP on her. And this photo is actually in turn 3. I think I forgot to take a picture of my hand. I think I got the initiative. And what I decided to do was to get rid of the performer's manipulative by using her to go first. She drew off the Waldgeist, almost paralysed it, which would have been fun, but I had to cheat with another card to get it off in the end. So now hopefully I've freed up my guys to go run some schemes. As things progress, we have a scheme marker party, which looks like a post-Brexit UKIP bash. The Widow Weaver gets stuck in and paralyses McTavish. He'd already activated, but I can't remember what he did. And we end the turn a bit like this. So this marionette has gone over here, and then pushed Lazarus out, and then run over here so that Collodi can't use Lazarus to shoot him very easily. I made a huge mistake with Lazarus, in that I think I decided to take a focus shot at Collodi, which failed. You know, what a complete moron. I need him to be in this area. And sure, Collodi can just walk him out, but that's going to burn a lot of resources, and there's nothing really here that can hurt Lazarus with his healing and armor, etc. But instead I'm sat here, out of range pretty much, like a complete chump. Over here I used Collodi to summon the Shadow Effigy, and then I think take some shots at, I don't know, someone, which probably failed. And the Shadow Effigy cast Remember the Mission on itself and drops a ski marker. More ski markers get dropped. Collodi does some tricks of his own. I think he summons the Arcane Effigy and gets it over to around here. And I think that's how we end the turn. So I actually scored 2 points this turn for actually having quarters and removing my leave mark ski marker. Oh, and I thought something didn't seem right. So my personal puppet marionette, I think, got out of the woods and got round here ready to place a ski marker, and McTavish killed it. And I think the Doppelganger finished it maybe. And that's what I used to summon the Shadow Effigy. Oh, and it might also be worth mentioning that I think I must have hit McTavish with Collodi and then got my bidding trigger and walked him over here. That might be important. So what's this, turn 4? Oh, it's not looking good. So Insidiously Mad wins the initiative, I think probably cheating with the Doppelganger. You didn't need to go high. He goes with the Arcane Effigy and walks him over to within 2 inches of McTavish, where I very handily placed him. Seriously, whose side am I on? It's clearly not mine. And the Arcane removes his paralyzed condition and accomplices McTavish. I think he focuses, I can't remember. And then nails Collodi with a bullet of severe damage, like a toxic propaganda campaign based on misinformation and prejudice. Collodi has 5 damage left by this point, and I Black Joker my Soulstone Prevention. And without a personal puppet, he goes down hard. Though when it broke, it revealed the word Europe carved into his little heart. Screw you, Black Joker. So yeah, I mean, it's all over. As things tend to be when Collodi bites the dust. So all I do is I try to, you know, move over here, pull Lazarus a bit closer with the Performer, try to make her a target for something to come shoot her, which nothing's in range to. I know there's no way Lazarus can take this on by himself, so I'm just trying to get him over here to try to kill some things so I can drop markers. The Brutal and the Marionette are holding the quarters at the back. Shadow's dropped another marker and moved up, and the Widow Weaver's moved up over here to try to stop something from running through the gap and getting to the marker. If I thought about this a bit better, maybe I could have moved the Performer up even closer to McTavish and then tried to beckon and paralyze the Woldgeist. Or even try to make McTavish take his poison damage and coincidentally draw him close to me. Anything but what I actually did would have probably worked out better. In the end, turns out my cunning plan with the Widow Weaver to block off this route was for naught, as the Marionette skipped around into engagement and then used its drag-along ability on itself to push it into range to block my marker, which was a great move, and I can't believe I hadn't realised you could do that in Marionettes. So at the end of the turn, things look like this. Collodi's skipped over to cause mayhem. He's probably scored all the points he ever needs from those markers by now. And I can't remember, I actually might have used my Marionette to pull the Performer out of engagement with the Woldgeist, which was pretty dumb, but you know, it doesn't really matter anyway. So I think he's denied me for this quarter once more with 2 models to 2. I've got my Brutal back here. Oh, and that's why Collodi's over here, because he's got 2 models in this. I had 2 models and he got Collodi in to secure his point this turn as well. Good player, this Insidiously Mad. Very hard to wiggle around him. And we go into the 5th and final turn. There's my hand, doesn't matter. And that's the point my camera gave out on me. A bit like reason, evidence and progressiveness in a referendum debate. But Really the only main things to happen were that I killed his marionette with my shadow and Collodi and or doppelganger. Nobody killed the performer. Oh, and very amusingly, the arcane effigy ran around here to engage Lazarus, who decided to try to run away instead of killing it and failed on both attempts. Guys, I don't know what I'm doing. Mollusk is just pawn in great game of life. Oh, and I moved the marionette over here so the Silurid came up and engaged it just for fun. I'm a retard. So, there ends the game. Insidiously Mad taking me to school with Collodi, scoring a cool and unarguable 10 points for maxing out his schemes and strategies, whilst I scored 2 points in a loss that was very much more convincing than that which the Remain vote suffered, but which hurt a huge amount less because this was a very fun game, and I love Malifaux even when I'm playing horrendously badly and having the shit kicked out of me. So there you go, that was the game. And by the way, any association with Brexit or Remain attributed to either of the sides playing this match was purely coincidental, and me making flippant comments when they occurred to me. Hope you enjoyed. I promise I'll play better next time. Take care.